Games based on movie franchises are usually a hit or miss. Sometimes you get really good ones like Mad Max and Alien Isolation, which are great experiences all on their own and expands the world established by the films that preceded them. While on the other hand, you may get games like Lord of the Rings Gollum or Skull Island Rise of Kong, which are just a dumpster fire of bad game mechanics and half-assed development. Now another movie franchise is making its debut into the video game realm, and it's none other than James Cameron's Avatar. Does Avatar Frontiers of Pandora have what it takes to stand out as another great game based on a movie, or will it join the other failed attempts of transferring the magic of cinema into a more interactive format? Check out the written version of this review, the link is in the description below. The story of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora mostly focuses on your Na'vi avatar. Get it? As they find their own identity in a world where they were taken from. You and the rest of your tribe, the Sarantu, were taken when they were children and forced to be a sort of bridge between the Na'vi and the humans. Or Sky People, as the planet natives call them. Well, things happened during your time in captivity, which leads you and the rest of your Na'vi tribe's people to escape the facility you were living in. After a hectic escape, you are then thrust into the world of Pandora to fight and rebel against the humans who have captured you, as well as avenge your tribe and your homeworld. The game does a great job of portraying a sort of fish out of water type of situation, where your Na'vi has to adjust and learn about what it takes to embrace one's tradition and culture. The world building in this game expands upon the already extensive lore found in the movies. As your character was raised by the Sky People, they have very little knowledge of the native Na'vi culture. And as you progress through the game's story, you'll slowly learn what it means to be a Na'vi from different groups and tribes you meet on your journey to free Pandora. The game's story is also completely separate from the main movies, with only a few references to some characters in the movies being mentioned. This makes jumping into the game a lot easier, and also gives players who have not seen the movies a sort of gateway into the world and lore of the Avatar franchise, as you learn alongside your created character about the world around you. This makes for a very dynamic way of learning about the movies, and is a great way for newcomers to get into the franchise. That being said, the story does get a bit predictable sometimes, with a lot of its plot points being very one-dimensional. It mostly boils down to stopping the evil invading humans from destroying or erasing the Na'vi. Aside from the local wildlife, the only other enemy you encounter in the wilds are humans. They even make it a point in the first few minutes of the game to show that humans are the enemy here. I mean, look at this moment. Definitely an evil bad guy moment right there. The game's pacing can also be a bit jarring at times. The game's introduction lasts a good 15 or so minutes without allowing the player to do anything. After that, it's a high-octane free run across the Pandoran greenscape for a few hours, before slowing back down whenever there's a cutscene. This kind of narrative whiplash will do a number on anyone looking to immerse themselves in the majesty of the planet's ambiance, ourselves included. All this is made worse by the god-awful fade-in, fade-out transitions that bookend every cutscene. It's a minor gripe, but it does make the game feel cheaper than it is. The gameplay can be described as Far Cry, but with an avatar skin painted on top of it. The game mostly plays out as a first-person shooter with a few crafting elements thrown in for upgrading and acquiring some consumables. Players who are familiar with Ubisoft titles would also, for better and for worse, feel right at home, as the game is filled with all the usual trappings of your typical Ubisoft title. The map is huge and varied, with tons of different side activities for you to take part in, and makes exploring the world of Pandora a more dynamic experience. Exploration is the main core mechanic of the game, and there are quite a few interesting points of interest scattered throughout the map. One could spend hours just roaming around the game's beautifully crafted world, living out life as a Na'vi. The game introduces a major feature early on in the game called Na'vi Sense, which will be the main ability you'll use while exploring the game. Na'vi Sense allows you to channel your Na'vi instinct, making spotting useful items in the environment a lot easier. From the scent of different wildlife to different types of plants and fruits used for crafting, you'll be using this feature the most while exploring. There are also many sights to see and things to find while you continue to explore. From strange trees that can upgrade your health or give you skill points, to just leisurely hunting different wildlife to obtain crafting materials for cooking and upgrading. The world of the game feels lush and alive with so many activities to take part in. The exploration also opens up even more once you get your flying mount. Sinking to the skies will open up the already massive game world and give you access to the many flying islands around Pandora. As for the combat, it does a great job of putting you in the shoes of a Na'vi fighting back against their human conquerors. Being able to fight large piloted mech suits with nothing but a bow and some makeshift grenade launchers is one of the exciting parts about the game. A great showcase of the game's combat is when you are tasked with taking down the various enemy outposts found across the map. Just like the Far Cry games, the game has various outposts to liberate from enemies and claim them as your own. Well, in this case, claim it for your people. There are many ways to take on your enemies in this game, as you can go for a more stealthy approach and pick your enemies out one by one, or you can pick up an assault rifle and go full Rambo by rushing in guns blazing. Though that may lead to you getting mowed down by a barrage of enemy fire instead. But the point is, the option is there. This leads to a bit of a gripe we have with combat. The game gives you the option to use stealth to take the enemy bases, but since some of the enemies are spaced very close to each other, it's difficult to purely stealth your way through and clear out an outpost without another enemy spotting or hearing you. Don't get me wrong, I'm fine with the usual outpost clearing Ubisoft gameplay loop, but unlike titles like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, the clearing out of outposts in this game can be a bit frustrating at times, and it doesn't really feel like it was fully fleshed out. Other than that, the game can feel repetitive sometimes if you don't like doing similar tasks, as it heavily relies on Ubisoft's typical open world gameplay loop. It has all the trappings of your typical cookie-cutter Ubisoft game. Everything from an open world filled with a mind-numbing number of activities to farming and hunting the local fauna to upgrade your gear. If you're a fan of this type of gameplay loop though, then you'll definitely enjoy this game. Breathtaking. If we had to sum up the visuals of the game in one word, it's that the game is an absolute feast for your eyes with how beautiful and vibrant the world of Pandora is. Honestly, the footage you're seeing doesn't do the game justice with how spectacular the visuals are. The devs really made the world feel alive with its multitude of different fauna and flora to find. There were a lot of moments where we would slow down and look around in awe at the incredibly detailed world that has been created for the game. It really feels like it did the movie franchise justice, considering how stunning the world looks and feels. This game brings the complexity, ferocity, and unerring majesty of an untouched alien world right to your screen. The audio design is great too, complementing the visuals well and making you feel like you are really in the world of Pandora. The details added to the atmospheric audio whisks you away and lets you forget where you actually are. From the weather effects of the wind and rain, to even the way your arrow would slightly scrape along your bowstrings, each sound effect was masterfully created to fit and fully immerse you into this expertly crafted world. The game's voice acting is also top-notch, providing the level of polish you'd expect from the greatest talents in the industry.
I have no names for them.
We'll learn their names. We'll relearn all the Sarentu ways.
It's not all sunshine and rainforests though. One thing that needs improvement is the game's UI. We know they wanted to fit with the theme of the game by picking shades of blues and whites for the menus, but there are times where it blends a bit too much with the gameplay. The game already has a lot happening on the screen, so picking these colors makes it especially difficult to see some of the items placed around the world. The Navi census doesn't really help here either, as it only covers a small portion of the center of the screen, which sometimes makes finding some important items a chore to spot. Overall though, the game is a masterclass in providing top-tier cinematic 3D visuals in a game. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is a great way to get into James Cameron's ever-growing movie franchise. Just being able to explore the world of Pandora and see it with your own eyes is one of the biggest highlights of the game. We here at Game8 are giving Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora an 8.8 out of 10. The game is a visual and audio technical marvel, showing details of the world that are just excellently made. While the cookie-cutter and repetitive Ubisoft gameplay may put off some gamers, the game is overall quite an unforgettable experience for players looking for a new open world to get lost into. What did you think of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora? Is it one of the better movie-based games out there? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Also, be sure to check out the written version of this review linked in the description below. We'll see you guys next time!